Given this first relief, the sense that Mahaprabhu was going to stay in Jagannath Puri, they heard that when he'd gotten there, he'd only spent a short time, and then he'd gone off to South India on this pilgrimage. Not only that, but he refused, like when he'd gone to Jagannath Puri, he'd taken, Mukunda, Nityananda, and Jagadananda with him.
Bakushwar.
Gadhadar, wasn't it?
Gadhadar wasn't there. Gadhadar came later.
So they were, so they all went to, they'd gone, those people had accompanied him as far as Jagannath Puri. But then when Mahaprabhu left, he said, I'm not taking anybody with me. And he'd gone off, and he didn't take even a servant with him. There's one old, new person had gone with him. But nobody, the devotees who knew Mahaprabhu, and they were thinking, well, who's going to take care of him when it rains or when the sun beats down on him, and or when it, who's going to make sure that he eats properly? Who's going to take care of him? There's no one to take care of him. And not only that, but he's gone. They didn't have any news. They didn't know where is he going. Was he ever going to come back at all? They were afraid that they'd lost him forever. And so this was.
এই জন্য মাসাচি এবং বিষ্ণুপ্রিয়ার অবস্থা সবচেয়ে মর্মান্তিক ছিল। তারা হাহাকার করে দিবানিশি আমাদের নিমাই কোথায় গেল, কি করলো, কে তাকে দেখবে, হায় রে, তিনি আমাদের জীবন অন্ধকার হয়ে যাচ্ছে।
Especially the suffering were Masachi and Vishnupriya, who they were crying and plaintively because of the loss, and they would think, we lost him forever.
প্রভু প্রত্যাগমন করিয়াছেন, এই সংবাদ নবদ্বীপে পাঠাইবার জন্য ভক্তগণ বড় ব্যস্ত হইলেন।
So the devotees were very eager to send a message that Mahaprabhu would return, thinking obviously that they were suffering in this way.
কিন্তু প্রভুর বিনা অনুমতিতে তাহারা কিছু করিতে পারেন না।
Unless Mahaprabhu gave them the order, gave them the word, they were not able to do anything like that.
শ্রী নিত্যানন্দ তাহাই প্রভুকে জানাইলেন যে সচিমা ও ভক্তগণ বড় ব্যস্ত আছেন।
So Nityananda Prabhu, he was the one who came and told Mahaprabhu that everybody was anxious for him, so and asked for permission to send the message.
প্রভু প্রত্যাবর্তন সংবাদ পাইলে নবদ্বীপ বাসীরা সজীব হইবেন।
Told them they would come back, they would be rejuvenated by news of his return.
অতএব প্রভু আজ্ঞা করুন নবদ্বীপে তোমার আগমন সংবাদ পাঠায়।
So please give us the orders that we can send news to Navadvip that you've returned.
প্রভু পাঠাও এই কথা বলিলেন না।
It's in the month of Chaitra. Okay, the Chaitra month. We're now in Falguni Purnima, and you have Chaitra as the following month.
পূর্বে বলিয়াছি যে প্রভু ইচ্ছা করিয়া অলৌকিক কোন কার্য করিতেন না, কিন্তু তবু এইরূপ অলৌকিক কার্য সকল অনবরত যেন আপন আপনি তাহার সহিত বিচরণ করিত।
He says that he didn't do anything miraculous, but that this kind of behavior was miraculous for the. I didn't catch that.
কিন্তু তবু এইরূপ অলৌকিক কার্য সকল অনবরত যেন আপন আপনি তাহার সহিত বিচরণ করিতেছে। মানে Mahaprabhu would perform wonders, miracles. It's not that he was trying to perform miracles, but they would just happen all by themselves.
Each individual devotee was thinking that it's like personally, he experienced them personally.
প্রভু যে মাত্র নীলচল আসি উপস্থিত হইলেন, অমনি সেই মুহূর্তে ভারতবর্ষের নানাস্থান হইতে তাহার এই লীলার মহাকারিগণ বিনা সংবাদে নীলচল অভিমুখে ছুটিলেন। In other words, when Mahaprabhu just returned to Puri, it just by chance or by whatever, by some way or another, all the people came to realize that Mahaprabhu is in Puri now, and they started heading towards Nilachal to meet him, just like all the rivers enter into the ocean. Prabhu শীতের শেষ মাসে নীলচলে আসিলেন, আর 2-4 সপ্তাহের মধ্যে তাহার চিরসঙ্গীগণ আপনা আপনি তাহার চরণিকাট আসি উপস্থিত হইতে লাগলেন। পূর্বে কয়েক স্থানে বলিয়াছি যে এই গৌর অবতারে পাত্র মোটি 3.5 জন Arthat Swarup Damodar, Rai Ramananda, Shiki Mahiti, O Madhavi Dasi.
Okay, there were 3.5, the intimates, he's repeating this, that there were 3.5 intimates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, namely Swarup Damodar, Rai Ramananda, Shiki Mahiti, and Madhavi. In this text, we just heard now about Shiki Mahiti and Madhavi for the first time. Rai Ramananda we heard about before, and Swarup Damodar has also been mentioned previously several times in the book, but this is now the occasion when he's coming and joining the Puri Lila. He became overwhelmed by separation, and so he ran off to Benares and himself took sannyas.
Guru Thai Agya Mage Ailo Nila Chale, Ratri Dine Krishna Prem Ananda Bihavale.
Okay, and then in Benares, after taking sannyas, he asked permission of his sannyas guru to come to Jagannath Puri, and when he came, he remained absorbed in Krishna Prem day and night.
Pandityer Abadi Bhakya Nahi Kar Sane, Nirjane Rohoye Lokasab Nahi Jane.
Even though he was a pandit without equal, he remained apart and kept himself apart from the rest of the community.
Krishna Ras Tattvaveta Deho Prema Roop, Shakat Mahaprabhu Ditya Swarup. So he is a knower of the Rasa Shastra and Krishna Tattva, and himself, his body was, he was an embodiment of Prem. And he was in fact a second Sakshat Mahaprabhu Ditya Swarup.
A second form of Chaitanya.
Grantha Shlok Gita Keho Prabhu Pase Ane Swarup Parika Koile Prabhu Tahasuni.
If anybody had written any kind of verse or text about Krishna, they would bring it to Swarup Damodar and he would examine it before showing it to me.
Bhakti Siranta Viruta Ar Ras Abbas Sunile Na Hoy Prabhu Chitter Ulas.
Famous verse. Yeah, and Mahaprabhu would never find any happiness if a verse was contrary to Siddhanta or had rasa abhas, had a mixture of improper rasas, which justifies your strictness.
Patev Swarup Gosai Korin Purikan Shuddha Hoy Jari Prabhu Re Koran Shravan.
Yeah, so if Swarup Damodar passed Swarup Damodar's test, then he would give the order, you can go and recite this to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Sangiti Gondarva Sama Shastri Brihaspati.
As a singer, he was equal of a Gandharva, and in terms of shastric knowledge, he was like Brihaspati, the guru of the gods.
Damodar Sama Ar Nahi Mahamati.
There's no greater intelligent person than Swarup Damodar.
Purushottama Acharya Shri Navadipe Gopani Bas Koren, Antaranga Seva Koren, Ras Loya Taken, Hoi Choi Hoite Jure Palayan Koren, Sutarang Tahar Mahatma Prabhu Vyatito Ar Praike Hoi Janiten.
Because Purushottama Acharya, even though he had all these qualifications, he did not like a lot of noise and crowds, and so he stayed away. And for this reason, nobody really knew his glories other than Chaitanya himself.
Purushottam Prabhu Ditya Swarup, Prabhu Jakan Sannyas Grahan Korilen, Takan Prabhu Upar Rag Korea, Tahake Tag Korea, Jaikani Prabhu Nam Gondo Nai, Jaikani Sadhugan Bhakti Dharma Birudhe, Say Varanasi Te Jaya Sannyas Grahan Korilen.
When Mahaprabhu took sannyas and Swarup Damodar, he became so angry with Mahaprabhu, he decided, I'm going to go somewhere where there's no bhakti, where there's no talk of Krishna. And so he went and took sannyas in Benares, where there were no devotees, to show his discipline. His man.
Priya Jari Man Kore Kore Ai Bartsana, Gates Tuti Huti Se Hari Morambo.
Yeah, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita it says that Radharani says that, Krishna says, that was for you. Anyway, I'll translate later. But what was it again? In the Chaitanya Charitamrita it says that if the
Priyajani man kore
if
kore Bartsana.
Krishna says that if my beloved becomes angry with me and criticizes me or rebukes me, that is more pleasurable for me than even the Vedic scriptures and the hymns of the Vedas and the Puranas.
So this Swarup Damodar, when he saw Mahaprabhu's cruelty, how can he renounce all his devotees? He's renouncing his mother, he's renouncing Vishnupriya. Vishnupriya is a 14-year-old adolescent, and she's newly married, and he doesn't care a fig for his devotees. He's renouncing us just like straw, and taking sannyas and not taking any of us with him. How can we surrender to such a cruel person? Such person is not worthy of worship. In Vrindavan, Srimati used to think like this. Krishna, Srimati says, Lolite, Ami ar Krishna dekhbo na. Ami Krishna naam ar shunbo na. And তখন সখী বলছে কৃষ্ণ আর দেখবে না, কৃষ্ণ নাম আর শুনবে না, তাহলে তুমি কি নিয়ে থাকবে?
So when Radharani becomes angry with Krishna, she says, listen, I'm finished with that guy Krishna. I'm not going to hear him, I'm not going to want to hear his name, I don't want to see him. Just, out of my life, I don't want to have anything to do with him anymore. And Lalita says to Radharani, says, listen, my Sati, if you don't have Krishna, what have you got? This is
তাহলে তুমি কাকে ভজন করবে? তুমি তাহলে আমি গণেশকে ভজন করব বা শিবকে ভজন, যারা তাদের ভক্ত প্রার্থনা শ্রবণ করে এবং কিছু আদান প্রদান করে, তাদেরকে দের ভালো, তাদের পূজা দের ভালো। এত সৎ পুরুষ আমি কোনদিন আর ভজন করব না।
Radharani says, so when Lalita says, well, who are you going to serve, who are you going to worship if you don't worship Krishna? So she says, listen, I can worship Ganesh or Shiva or somebody else, but from that, I'll hang out with their devotees, but as far as Krishna is concerned, I don't have anything to do with a person like that, a cheating man.
সেই জন্য স্বরূপ দামোদর এই পুরুষোত্তমাচার্য যখন মহাপ্রভুর ব্যবহার দেখলেন, তিনি খুব রেগে গেছে। তিনি মান করে, এমন আমি কোথায় যাব, এমন দেশে যাব যে মহাপ্রভুর কারণ নাম শুনিনি, যে মহাপ্রভুর বিরুদ্ধে ধর্ম যারা পালন করে সেই দেশে আমি যাব।
Damodar was so angry at seeing Mahaprabhu's treatment of his devotees and of his beloved Vishnupriya and Sachimata, and he said, I'm going to go to that one place where everything that is done is completely contrary to what is dear to Mahaprabhu, where whatever where they're engaged in a religious activity that goes completely against all of Mahaprabhu's principles of bhakti.
সেই জন্য তিনি দৌড়ে গিয়ে বারাণসীতে গিয়ে একজন মায়াবাদী সন্ন্যাসীর কাছ থেকে দীক্ষা নিলেন।
So he went all the way to Benares and running to Benares, his eyes closed. No, he went all the way running to Benares and took immediately sannyas from a Mayavadi sannyasi there.
And his name became Swarup Damodar.
Swarup Damodar is still a brahmachari name. It's like he didn't take the sannyas. That's probably stayed here.
স্বরূপ শেষ জীবন নীলাচলে প্রভু সহিত বাস করিয়াছিলেন। শয়নে স্বপনে নিদ্রা জাগরণে সুখে দুঃখে প্রভু সহিত থাকিতেন। তিনি দাস রূপে প্রভুর সেবা করিতেন, সাক্ষ্য রূপে তাহার সুখ